Feels great. I had a fantastic couple of matches in a row center court. Last 2 rounds I've felt more confident going through the ball, hitting serves really well. Today was a good test because Diego was in form, haven't dropped a set. He hasn't dropped a set in 3 rounds, so you know, obviously he can be a very dangerous opponent from the baseline if you give him time. I knew that, and I stepped out on the court with a clear game plan, what I need to do, and I think I kept things pretty much in control and all 3 sets, and maybe could have finished the match a bit earlier, but you know, all in all, it was a very solid performance. My son is likes martial arts and football and tennis. But he likes to play with me and with his best friend. He doesn't like to play with too many other people. Obviously, when they travel with me, he gets more opportunities, I guess, to play tennis, and we do play some side courts or practice courts, and you know, we've done that in the past, and you know, just to see him smiling on the tennis court, that's all I need to see. You know, obviously, I'd like them to enjoy whatever they want to do. He still hasn't expressed who his favorite player is. I hope I'll be working on becoming his favorite player. Well, I feel like Raonic moves better than Isner and Karlovic. I mean, he's not as tall as these 2 guys. They're, you know, sports. So obviously, it's a huge advantage when you hit serves from that height. You can hit any angle, anything you really want, and that puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. But of course, that also has some disadvantages in terms of movement. And if the returner gets the ball back in play, then I think Raonic is better, you know, than these 2 guys. But I feel like, you know, maybe you could read his serve better than Isner and Karlovic. I mean, you know, Serbia didn't really have a successful or long tennis tradition, you know, before Bobo Živojinović or Monica Seles. You know, that was probably the first generation of successful tennis players coming from our country. And then really all of a sudden, I don't believe in coincidences in life, but it looked very much like a coincidence because there was no system or structure that really kind of supported our breakthrough to professional tennis. But in one moment we had, you know, 3 number 1s of the world, you know, beside myself, Ana Ivanovic, Jelena Jankovic on the women's side, and 4 actually, doubles, Nenad Zimonjić as well. So Janko Tipsarevic top 10. I mean, it was amazing, you know, decade for our tennis, and that has obviously helped popularity of that sport in our country, and there's a lot of interest, a lot of young people, you know, choosing to grab a tennis racket. The problem that we have is still the infrastructure, but it's also the system that hasn't been really hasn't really followed the success as well as it should have. And I do consider, you know, myself also responsible to try to do something when I'm not playing, and through the tennis club that you know, we are running in Belgrade, and you know, through my free time I try to help federation and help anybody really that likes tennis, that is in tennis, to establish some system that will be a long-standing, kind of long-term shot system that will allow kids and parents to have an easier access to tennis, cheaper access to tennis rackets, tennis courts and stuff like this, because it's, you know, for an average you know, income for an average family in Serbia, it's really expensive to play tennis. That's the reality, and they will most likely choose if it comes down to economics, you know, basketball or football or handball or volleyball. Those are really successful sports in our country. Team sports have always, we've been a nation of team sports, so it's really nice to see an individual sport kind of sparking the interest of youth and of people in general. They do follow it, of course, a lot on the TV and everything, but I still feel like there is quite a bit of a gap, and we still have a lot of work to do to get actually on the grassroots level more players.